Steeler Nation, we are back with another great episode. Someone who is killing it in the Pittsburgh sports scene. She's all over the place. We're going to get to it, talk some Steeler football, Kenny Pickett, hey, maybe even some Pittsburgh Pirates. What do you say, Sammy? Send it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Harris Smith shields. Flacco, Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Yeah, before we bring her in, I want to mention to everybody that we are brought to you by ShopYinz.com. That's two Z's right there, YINZZ. So you can have a friend, a Yinz and another Z on top of that. Of course, we're the Sick Podcast. This is the sickest gear in all of Pittsburgh. Make sure you use our promo code SICK15 to get 15% off your entire purchase at ShopYinz.com. No minimum on that. That's absolutely huge. Listen, man, we were just talking about it. Every time we're traveling, everybody's got their Yinzer gear on. You got Pirates baseball and full tilt. You got the Steelers season coming up. What better time to get some more Pittsburgh gear? All right, let me get out my CBS receipt right now to tell you about our next guest. She's a reporter for the Big Ten Network. She's been a producer for KDKA, working with the Pirates, the Steelers. She even has her own podcast and likes to delve into betting as well on the side. She's none other than Hannah Mears. Hannah.
Hello, everybody. Wow, that was a great intro. Thank you. I know it's a lot, and most days, honestly, it feels like a lot. So I appreciate you guys for having me on. You caught me at a good time. You know, no Pirates today, nothing. Just get to enjoy your company.
Do you ever sleep?
Yeah, occasionally. It's a lot of time management.
Well, definitely all good things. It's awesome to see what you're doing in the Burgh, like Jordan said. And we're really happy to have you on to talk some Pittsburgh sports. All right, we are a Steelers podcast. You're aware of that. We're called the Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy. However, we have a lot of crossover viewership, as you can imagine. Let's talk some Buccos to start this off. Why not, Jordan? I don't mind switching it up a little bit.
Hey, we're ramping
Paul
up second half
Skeens.
of the season. Yeah.
We're all excited about Paul Skeens over here. Of course, the Pirates had the first pick, took the LSU pitcher. How excited are you about this?
I'm thrilled about Paul Skeens. I was on the nightly sports call a couple days before the draft, and we had been talking so much about what are the Pirates going to do, and that's what everyone does. It's complete speculation, and I don't think anyone would have been disappointed if it was either Cruz or Skeens. Everybody loves a good guy at the plate, right? You love to see somebody crush a bunch of balls, but long-term, having a good pitcher and having someone like Paul Skeens, who also is willing to hit, will be extremely exciting for the Pirates. Shohei Ohtani effect has come into place with that. Not saying that he's the next Shohei Ohtani, but in terms of what he's willing to do for a team and wants to do, there's hope in the air. But also, I think good pitching outlasts good hitting when it really comes down to it. You see hitters in the MLB have cold streaks. Rarely do you see good pitchers really have that many off games. So I think this is exactly what Pittsburgh needs. And it's so fun to have a guy that we could potentially see before this season ends.
Yeah, that would be really, really cool. I mean, it's not frequently you get to see a guy drafted and then play on that major league team in the same season. But you talk about bringing some more excitement to PNC Park, of course, following this young, exciting team that's already hopefully ready to break through at some point here. All right, let's stay on the draft topic, but we'll switch over to the other side of Federal Street, if you will. Talk some Pittsburgh Steelers. You got to cover the draft a little bit for them as well. Certainly one of the most talked about and anticipated Steelers drafts in a long time. What stood out to you, Hannah?
What stood out to me is that they were really feisty in this draft and not willing to budge on what they wanted. And I think that's something we haven't seen as much in the past. And Omar Khan really made a stamp with that and made his name. For a long time, we saw Kevin Colbert. Even last year, we still had that Kevin Colbert effect. And I think he was putting himself out there to draft Kenny Pickett in case things did go wrong. He was willing to take the fall for that. That's just sort of a theory of mine. But Omar Khan really stepped in and said, this is the next era of Steelers football, and we're ready to win now. But even less than just the draft, if you saw what they did in the draft, but then also in free agency, it almost seems as though they've picked a young guy like Broad Jones and then paired him with somebody either through free agency or that they maybe have there now as a veteran to really help them out, because these young guys are going to have an impact right away. And you also saw that with Joey Porter Jr. and then bringing in Patrick Peterson, somebody that he can lean on and ask a lot too. So it seems like the Steelers, what they're doing is they're finding their young guys that they're going to have be the future of this franchise, but complemented them very well with the veterans, so that maybe if they're not ready yet or that they're out there and they're making little mistakes, they have somebody that they can lean on. And I think that's a really cool thing happening behind the scenes that's maybe not being headlined a lot, but that I think is going to help this Steelers team progress at a quicker pace with young guys this season.
We're hanging out with Hannah Mears on the Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy. Make sure you follow her on Twitter at MearsHannah_. All right, you're a Nittany Lion. I think obviously we're allowed to be biased here on the Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy. You got to be sitting there on draft day like Joey Porter Jr. Come on, Joey Porter Jr. And for that to come to fruition, it's got to be pretty darn cool.
It was really cool. JPJ was definitely somebody that I got to cover last year, a part of the Big Ten Network. I covered a lot of Penn State football, and he was somebody that was just super consistent, but more than anything, people really commended the way that he was able to shift from the season before and make leaps and bounds and take direction and coaching well. But I think what was really cool about that pick is maybe having him not your first round pick takes a little bit of that pressure off, not having him as the number one guy and putting all of that hype on him. That's a lot. Already having your dad be as successful as he was as a Steeler, being from the city, that can be more than what I think a lot of these young guys expect it to be. But I think finally having it pan out for him where it fell right into place. He came in at the perfect time. It was so fun to get to see that come to fruition. It's an awesome story, right? And it just follows the Steelers through this family aura that they're trying to project out there. But I think it benefited the Steelers more getting their big offensive tackle first in Broderick Jones. So I think as a Steelers fan and knowing what we need to protect Kenny Pickett, the future of our franchise, I was happy to see Broderick, but it did, kind of complete everything getting to see JPJ come home.
I think it completed every Steeler fan's dream. Me and Mike, we were doing a
Wait, you're a Pitt
stream.
Panthers guy. Are you allowed to say that?
I said, look, once they go to black and gold, half of our friends went to Penn State, Pitt. At the end of the day, yes, I am held at Pitt, but once they become a Steeler, it doesn't matter. So
absolutely.
What would you say is the biggest storyline heading into this season?
I think it's interesting because there is a lot happening. I would say people want to say maybe it's JPJ, but I disagree. I think he just needs to have a not mess up kind of season for him to fit in well. I think that defense is already kind of established in who they are. As long as Highsmith, Watt, and Hayward can all stay healthy, I think we know who that defense is. I honestly think even though we don't have a quarterback battle, the biggest thing is going to be, is Kenny Pickett truly the face of this franchise? And can he lead them to a Super Bowl? Is this a Super Bowl team with him behind it? And that
was my next question. So go ahead.
That has to be it, right? Because everyone's looking at Kenny Pickett. No longer is the question, should he be the starter? Is he a top 5 guy? Is he a top 10, top 5 guy? And I think we're going to get our answer this year. I also think, is Najee Harris the future as well in the run game? Because we saw a lot last year of him trying to do a lot, but and getting little from it. But a lot of that came from the offensive line. A lot of that came from him not just putting his head down and going north and south. We saw that maybe after the bye week, it was more effective. But maybe a lot of that's tying into, is Matt Canada the guy to call the plays? So maybe that's the bigger headline behind all of this, as I'm talking a lot of offense and thinking in my head, what did we all talk so much about last year? Is if the Steelers can put 20 plus points a game on the board. So maybe that all comes to full circle of, is this Steelers offense enough to be a Super Bowl contending team again?
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because we had, I forget who we had on a guest before, and they were talking about, if Matt Canada solely relying on Kenny Pickett. So that's if he's successful, then no one's talking about Matt Canada's playbook if the Steelers are winning and Kenny Pickett's a top 5-10 quarterback. So
yeah, definitely. And I think they have so much of the talent to do it, right? You see what you have in George Pickens and how you can utilize him. Deontay Johnson, getting him more involved this year would be nice. Having the threat of Najee Harris could help that receiver situation. But then don't forget about that addition of Darnell Washington, who is a beast and such a guy who can help out not only on that blocking side of things, but going to give Pat Freiermuth a run from his money on the stat boards as well. If I had anything to say about that, he's a great addition to this team that I cannot believe they got him so late in the draft.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. It's like, I know, it's not college football, but it's like Steelers, like tight end you over here, they re-signed Zach Gentry, but I love it. I mean, I think, like you said, I think Pat Freiermuth, I think that it's going to take targets away from him. But at the end of the day, when you're in the red zone and you have those two threats, it's a win-win.
Absolutely.
What's your thoughts on Mike Tomlin?
I think it's really hard to have a negative opinion about a guy who other players from other teams, other media members who have played for other teams at one point in their career, all speak very highly of him and say the same thing about him, and that his leadership is absolutely unmatched. And that sometimes the potential of what his leadership, the effect it can have on people, is being wasted as an NFL coach. That's pretty eye-opening to somebody who that's your head coach of the team that you know and love. And on top of that, love him or hate him with the decisions that he makes, he's never had a losing season, and there's a reason for that. And I trust completely that if there are issues ever happening, that Mike Tomlin is someone stepping up behind the scenes, calling the shots when needed. And because he's never had a losing season, I have to trust that he does that. And I think that did happen at one point last year that maybe we're not all seeing as much because nobody's going to ever come out and say that. But I do think at a point when the offense was struggling and after the bye week, I think there was a point Mike Tomlin probably did step in and say, listen, I need to make some decisions here that I probably would have been trusted in you, Matt Canada, at some point, but I think I need to step up and make some of these calls. So I think the world of Mike Tomlin, I think the way players receive him, the way that his impact is felt when the tough gets going, I can't say a bad word about the guy.
Yep, well put, for sure. We're hanging out. We're hanging out here with Hannah Mears. You're watching the Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy, brought to you, of course, by shopyins.com. Big and bold for the black and gold, all kind of great stuff over there. Make sure you check them out. Use our discount code as well to get 15% off. Yes, all right, I think Hannah can maybe get people some 15% off or some money. I know that you're in the betting game a little bit there. I'll start with this one. I'll throw this one at you because it's relevant in terms of Mike Tomlin never having a losing season. The Steelers over-under win total in Vegas right now, I think, is 9-ish. It might be 8.5. 8.5.
Wow.
Right? There's no way you're going to say under. Do I even have to ask?
No, I work for Picks and Parlays, so follow them if you want any betting expertise throughout the football season. Andrew Filipponi and I was on his FanDuel show a few times last year, and I had a better percentage betting than he did in the NFL season last year. So I'm gonna
not surprising.
No, he's awesome. I love Pony. He was so great.
All due respect to Pony.
I love him so much, but I had the Steelers over 8.5 wins, and I talked about this actually the other night as well, KDK's sports call, for a lot of reasons. The Steelers are going to have 4 primetime home games. For one, they're going to face possible young quarterbacks, if not a rookie quarterback matchup, in CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Jordan Love, Trey Lance, or Brock Purdy, whoever that might be. And then you have Jimmy Garoppolo and the Raiders, and a lot of these games are happening before the bye week in week 6. That first slate of games, the Steelers quite literally, if you look at it, could go 9-0 to start the season.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my bold.
That's the title of this show.
Right.
That's the quickest over win in Vegas of all time.
Yeah, that I quite literally do think that when you look at the schedule that they have and starting out, one of their biggest challenges could be not knowing what the Texans could bring. That could be a question mark, right? Maybe the Jaguars, but at least that game's at home. And then you look at every other team within that first 5 weeks, and they've got young quarterbacks or rookies, or the Steelers pull those games right away at home. I have a really good statement from this with everything on the Nightly Sports Call. I'll have to post and share it with you guys. But yeah, that was my big, bold prediction for this year that I'll stick by and say that Steelers will start the season 9-0.
I love it.
Yeah, why the heck not? We'll hold you to it over here.
I love the optimism. I like to think I'm optimistic, so let's roll with it.
Yeah, hey,
I'll go 17-0.
There you go. It's not even like optimism so much there is actually factual proof. I want you guys to look at the schedule after this and then give your predictions. But it really, besides going really undefeated in the NFL, is very hard to do.
Yeah.
If you look at these game by game, it makes a lot of sense that they're all winnable games for the Steelers.
They're going to be favored in a lot of them. You got Mac Jones coming to town and the New England Patriots who are trending downwards. The Arizona Cardinals might be the worst team in football. So I totally agree with you. A lot of very winnable games that they will be favored in. So we'll be watching out for that 9-0 for sure. All right, I want to talk a little bit about some of your other endeavors here. I think Jordan and I have talked about it a few times. We just got back from my bachelor party, so I won't be engaging in many beers moving forward. However, I did hear about this podcast, Beers with Mears, correct? You got to tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, Beers with Mears was a really fun podcast that I started this year under Picks and Parlays. And during COVID, I started a podcast called Hear Them Out with Hannah Mears. And I had a lot of wrestlers on and things like that. It was really fun. That's a passion of mine, is supporting the sport of wrestling. And so Beers with Mears was a way for me to shift out of the girl from Penn State who was a face of Penn State athletics at one point, but was really young, still in college, and sort of transition into the fact that I am 26 years old now. I do like to have a beer occasionally and have more of this laid back personality and conversation. And so that's sort of where I wanted to take that, was sort of starting to establish myself as I'm not this little girl anymore. I'm somebody who's young, but I'm also somebody who likes to chill, relax, and enjoy a beer with somebody. And that was a super fun season 1 of Beers with Mears. I actually just wrapped up season 1 with Abby Chin, a sideline reporter for the Boston Celtics. We talked a lot about the NBA, the Celtics, and how they could look this year. So check that out. But we had a lot of really cool guests on, so it was really fun. I'm hoping to change a few things and have a little bit more sports-related content being the focus based off of relevancy come season 2. So look for those changes. But if anyone wants to check out those episodes, they are up now.
Did you get into any Patriots versus Steelers battles with her?
I did not. We stuck mostly to basketball in that one, which was good.
Copy.
And I don't even know if that's where her heart lies. She's not exactly from New England, but she's definitely all Celtics, all NBA, and a phenomenal sports female personality in the Boston area. So it was really cool to talk with her about that. But I talked a lot. If anyone's interested in the betting totals and the biggest headlines of the season with Trevor Sikkema of Pro Football Focus, his episode was really intriguing for anybody who follows the NFL.
I've got to ask, favorite beer? Give us a favorite beer.
So in college, I literally think everyone on campus that went out with me knew that I was going to be drinking a Corona Light and Lime. I don't know what it was, but that was just eventually picked a beer and just stuck with it. And I think it's because I could drink a lot of them, it felt like, because they were light. I do prefer a light beer a lot of the time right now. In the summer, I would say some of my favorites are a Porch Rocker, Summer Shandy, those types of things. I love a good light beer with a little bit of flavor. So I would definitely say somewhere along there. I did have, if we're sticking in the Pittsburgh realm, summer beer and Icy Light Mango. Those were actually pretty good. Love those.
That's like my favorite, Icy Light Mango.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a cold Corona Light on the beaches of Happy Valley. Am I right?
Right?
With the lime over there.
Really freezing the snow if we're talking about a beach, right? But that's fine. Corona Light tastes good at any time.
Oh, absolutely love it. You saw the Icy Light sign fell down, I'm sure, at this point. Did you see that on Mount Washington? The big Iron City beer, the red and white sign fell down, and they actually just replaced
the helicopter fixing that yet. Why isn't that fixed yet?
It's fixed. Jump on the old tweeter, and they put out a new one in black and gold, and they changed it to Icy Light from Iron City, which is
Oh,
Yeah,
see,
it's
I kept seeing the tweets that it fell over. I didn't even realize that it was fixed, but I do see that new icy light sign as of like a couple of hours ago. It's all being
Right.
posted out there.
Breaking
Wow.
news. Steelers
Breaking
crazy
news.
stick pause. You never know.
Pittsburgh won't fix their roads for like 6 years, but one beer sign falls down, and like within 7 minutes, they're like sending the cavalry to fix that up.
That is the take. That's the take from right here. Pittsburgh won't fix their roads, they'll fix their beer signs. You better believe it.
Your takes were phenomenal. We're absolutely thrilled to have you on. Where can people find you? Once more, give us the list.
Yeah, you can follow me on all my social medias at Mears Hannah. That's on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Picks and Parlays. Their YouTube page has a lot of my shorts. I post a daily Mearsy Minute giving my best bet of the day. So look for all of that. I would say those are probably the 3 places that you could find me the most. If you don't see me on Pirate social media, giving all things Pirates, or over on the Nightly Sports Call now as well on weekends on the CW on KDK.
Hannah, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you guys so much. It was awesome to meet you.
You too. Take care. We'll definitely have you on soon during the season as well.
Awesome. I'd love to be back.
Thanks again.
All right, JY, good time, of course. Listen, I love when we can mix in some buccos. Come on, man. We always stay pretty much in our lane.
I mean, it's the off season. You know, we're gonna if the Bucs make a playoff run, we're here for it.
You know, we have viewers in like Germany or wherever, you know, Idaho, who are going to be like, we don't care about the Pirates. We just want to talk Steelers left and right. You gotta stick with us, man. You gotta be, you know, Pittsburgh.
Hey, we'll end it on this.
Flexible.
No matter 1979, all the Super Bowls we've seen, Stanley Cups, City of Champions. Thank you guys.
JJ Watt on a Wheaties box.
There you have it. Anything's
Brothers
possible.
on a Wheaties box.
Remember? Well, I guess I won't end. But do you remember like when you used to read the back of like the cereal box, like before there was like, you know, we had cell phones? Like that was like my morning, like reading like a just, you know.
Hold on 1 second. Stay there. Hold on.
Wow.
That is John Elway.
That's unbelievable. I've never seen a Wheaties box that small.
I know. I don't know. I wonder if there's cereal in it still.
Well, I guess like, next time we hang out, we got to open it up.
If I get hungry, man, or if there's like an apocalypse or God forbid a weather situation like they have up there in Canada right now, I'll have some food, at least in my man
there
cave.
You go. Here, wait, and then we'll end on this. I got something even better.
It's one of the first shows we ever brought out props, man. This is it's a big show. It's like, whose line is it anyway over here? Oh, good night.
We'll end the episode on that. Until next time, it's been another great show. Steelers crazy. Thank you, Hannah Mears. And here we go, Steelers. Go Pirates. Go Penguins. Pittsburgh proud. Sammy, hit it.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.